Hi, I'm Andy Ely, a Senior Funeral Director with G. Seller Independent Funeral Directors, and we've been serving bereaved families since 1910. I'm sure you're all well aware there's lots and lots of different misconceptions, myths and taboos around what happens behind closed doors within the funeral profession. So we've decided to put this series of podcasts together and try and dispel some of those myths, answer any questions and just give you a bit of an insight. So please do like, share and subscribe, and if you do have any questions, send them to liftingthelid@gseller.co.uk and we will do our absolute best to answer them for you. It genuinely is our family caring for your family. So today's episode we're going to be talking about anticipated loss and complicated grief, and I'm joined by my colleague Tracy. How are you, Tracy? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. So we've met before.
Yes.
We've had a previous episode where we've touched the tip of the iceberg as to grief and what it is. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to look at things a little bit closer today, but again I still think we're only going to be scratching the surface. Tracy, we spoke about grief previously. If you could just give us a short recap, what is grief as a bit of an overview?
Okay, well, grief is the complex, sometimes chaotic set of emotions we feel when someone we love passes away.
Okay.
It's a usual response to the loss of someone, and over time, for most people, the feelings subside and we learn to live with the loss that we've experienced.
Okay. Anticipated loss and complex grief. I would suggest perhaps two very different subjects. So if we take anticipated loss, I mean, what is anticipated loss? What do I mean by that?
Okay, well, anticipated loss, the emotions that can come forward are just the same as the grief we might feel after somebody dies, but it happens before the person's died. If a family member is diagnosed with a terminal illness. Okay.
So this anticipated loss could perhaps begin at that diagnosis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's, like I say, it's kind of similar feelings, but at a time when the person's still alive, which can make us feel that actually we shouldn't be feeling that.
Yeah.
Like it's almost disloyal to the person.
Okay.
So they tend to be feelings that are even less acknowledged than grief feelings a lot of the time, because we almost dare not say anything to anybody else that we're feeling all of those things. But I think in family situations where there's been a member of the family who's been diagnosed as terminally ill and in the last part of their lives, it can be a number of people that are feeling that.
Okay.
But no one's speaking about it.
So how can it affect someone?
The grief feelings are very similar, so it's kind of, you can feel all the anger, sadness, panic, all those things, but there's no kind of end to it because the person hasn't died.
They're still with you.
Yeah. So.
And I suppose you're feeling that you shouldn't be feeling that either as well.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think we feel like we should be concentrating all our energies on the person who's terminally ill and looking after them, and that it can almost be selfish to be grieving at this point, and almost like we're wishing them to die because we're already grieving for them.
Okay.
But people can wax and wane between feeling like that and then feeling like hopeful that the person's going to carry on living. So it's a very complex position to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would you cope with that? I mean, what would you advise, I guess?
Okay. Well, I mean, I think, like I said, sharing how you're feeling with other family members is good because they may be feeling the same. But it's also thinking about how you want to spend that last part of your time with the person that's dying. So something that's meaningful to both of you, making it as good as it can be. Having those conversations that are difficult that you've been avoiding.
Okay.
And think about what you might wanted to say to the person but haven't yet said, and then thinking about saying it before it's too late. But also within all of that, it's really important to look after yourself, because looking after somebody who's terminally ill is very kind of draining.
Yeah.
And sometimes people that are doing that are also having to go to work, and concentration levels can be low because of that. So there's a lot of external pressures on somebody. So it's really important that you look after yourself in terms of being there and able to support the person who's dying. So it's small things like, just if you can take a bit of time for yourself, do something that makes you feel like happy. It's different for everybody. It's whatever you like. Go for a walk. I don't know, binge a box set. Order a takeout, something like that. Anything that just gives you a bit of time to recharge your batteries, to make you feel like you're more able to then be with the person who's dying. So.
It's quite interesting. You said earlier that a lot of family members may feel the same way, but you wouldn't necessarily know. So, do you think they should talk to one another? What about input from someone like yourself? Would sort of counselling at that stage, would that be appropriate? Something that we should perhaps think about?
Yeah, I think, like I said at the beginning, people don't talk about anticipated grief because it's almost like you're not allowed to grieve at that point. And so the services for that are quite few and far between, but that's why we've developed the service we've got to provide for that niche part of grief support, that basically anyone can access our services for anticipated grief support. And it might not be that people need lots of it, but it's just like a space to actually just almost be able to acknowledge how they're feeling.
Yeah, okay.
And that can be really helpful to sort of like sustain them through, to still be there for the person who's terminally ill. So, yeah, but equally, a lot of support can come from within families if they talk to one another.
Yeah.
But that can be a sticking point because people don't want to upset each other. I think.
Yeah, I guess it's the dynamics of the family as well might cause issue there. You don't know.
Yeah, not everybody's got a family structure that they can access. So yeah, sometimes a bit of professional counselling support will be the thing that will help them through.
Oh, okay. So it's quite complicated.
It is. Yeah.
It's very complicated. I think all grief is, isn't it? But there's another type of grief. It's actually called complex grief. Could you just talk us through what is complex grief? What's the difference there?
Okay. Well, grief, the feelings are the same.
Yeah.
But it happens if, for a few reasons, if say someone's experienced a lot of personal losses within a short amount of time.
Okay.
So
yeah, which happens.
Yeah, and if grief, like I said at the beginning, if normally we grief feelings reduce over time, and then we kind of come to some peace with it. But if it carries on, if those acute feelings carry on for like 2-3 years, and someone's still feeling as upset and debilitated by grief as they were in the beginning, then that's what we would sort of class as complex.
Okay. So I mean, what would be the signs of complicated grief then?
Well, if you're still continually upset and not able to go to work and not engaging in life again, and hiding yourself away and just feeling like you can't face the world, that is a sign that you are experiencing complex grief.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this something you would notice yourself, perhaps, or would it be other people?
It's more likely that other people will notice that. You might feel like you just want to hide yourself away, but actually other people will notice, like, you might withdraw from friends and things and not, they will think, but it's worth anybody that's got somebody in their life that's kind of experienced a number of losses to kind of just be a bit mindful of that.
Yeah.
That, sometimes it's quite subtle things that can be noticed, but it's like other people will probably notice it more than you do.
Okay. How can we help with that? I mean, like with the anticipated loss, you gave us some potential advice on talking. What with complex grief? Any sort of coping mechanisms there?
Well, I think it's always lean on any support you've got within family or friends. But really, if it's complex and it's long held and it's been going on for years, it does need bereavement counselling support. Yeah. Because it's almost like you need the space to be able to unpick the number of deaths. Because when you get a cumulative amount of deaths, it's almost like you can't process one death.
Do you have to start back at the beginning?
Yeah. Okay. It's like unpick it all. Some deaths will be more kind of significant than others. Yeah. But actually, it's a cumulative effect that makes us feel like there's no certainty in life and death's all around us.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that sort of makes us give up on life almost.
Okay.
Like we just think, oh, well, everybody dies, don't they? Which we all do eventually,
Yeah.
but it's kind of not living while you are living in that sense. So, yeah, unpicking it within counselling support, and it's a slow process.
I was going to say, is that a different sort of counselling support? Is it more involved? Is it longer?
I mean, there's no sort of size fits all with counselling for bereavement anyway, but yeah, it tends to be a bit longer because it has to be more gently done because there's more deaths to unpick and process. But sometimes when people enter into counselling, they find the space just being able to talk about it and talk about each individual person that they've lost and how they're feeling. That just the process of that, without really doing any work on it, can be enough to help someone feel like they can start to step back out into life again.
Oh, good. Tracy, again, I think we're still just scratching the surface here, but thank you for your time, and certainly we'll see you in subsequent episodes. And please do revisit our initial episode, the episode on grief, to give you a bit of an overview there as well. But yeah, thank you, Tracy, and thank you. Any questions at all, please do like, share, subscribe, send the questions to liftingthelid@gseller.co.uk, and we'll see you next time.